Thank you for joining this customer panel session with Bahadir Sahin, Director of Data and Analytics at Onfido, and Igor Shidvalband, Co-founder and VP of Data and CRM at Billy. Increasing customer happiness and retention isn't just the job of customer success orgs these days. It requires everyone at a company to lean in and use data to truly delight and expand a customer. I want to hand the session off to your host, Maeve Byrne, Customer Success Manager here at Fivetran and expert in customer happiness. Welcome, Maeve.
Thanks, Alexa. Hi, everyone. I am Maeve, as Alexa said. I am a Customer Success Manager here at Fivetran. So really my role is to support all of our customers across EMEA, ensure that they're set up for success, and really just align myself with their goals and help them to achieve their goals. I will just wait for here comes Igor and Baha. Great. Hi, guys. So I actually am Igor's Customer Success Manager as well. So it's very nice to see such a familiar face here. We have regular calls to align and discuss Igor's experience with Fivetran. So yeah, this leads me to the amazing panel that we have. As Alexa said, we have Baha, who is the Director of Data and Analytics at Onfido. And we have Igor, who is the VP of Data and CRM at Billy. So I think we can start off with some introductions. So Baha, I think, would you mind starting giving us an introduction to yourself, your role, your company, and I think importantly as well, what it is that you guys actually offer to your customers. That's a good place for us all to start.
Yeah. So let me start with maybe with Onfido. We are an ID verification platform. And what we do is to help our customers to onboard or authenticate their customers digitally and remotely. Especially in the last year, as you can imagine, this is even more so critical for a lot of the businesses. And what we offer is actually, like, we are a B2B business. We are a software as a service business. And we offer what we offer is a SDK or an API endpoint that a lot of clients like Revolut, Barclays, HSBC, TransferWise, BlaBlaCar, etc., integrate to so that they can actually digitize their onboarding experience. First of all, get much more reach to their customers. So lots of people who can't physically onboard can actually do that much more securely now by digitally, and also decrease the friction while also totally preventing the fraud. And that's like basically we are both an enabler as well as a security gate for our clients. How we do that is pure machine learning and also assisted with a human agent eventually. We have like totally proprietary systems we built using computer vision. We have a research group specifically specializes in that, building the product, so we can do this at a scale, at a secure, safe way. My role is I'm running the data analytics function, and we are a shared service across the whole company. We have like a traditional data ops, data engineering group. We have a group of BI, BI product, we call it, more the front end side. And also we have a group of analyst data scientists helping our business users. And we are sort of the single source of truth and the one consolidation point for all the metrics and data for the whole business. So that's roughly what we do.
Great. Okay, so you have a very important job, and then also it sounds like, yeah, I mean, the whole concept of Onfido is something that's really, really important now, and especially as you had said in the last year, becoming more and more important. So, thanks for that. That's a great introduction. And Igor, same question to you. Introduction to yourself and the company, and what you guys actually offer for your customers.
Gladly. Hi everyone. So our company is named Billy, and we started Billy as a group of friends in 2016. And since then, the company grew to more than 110 employees here in Berlin. And what we do, a very simple thing. We started with invoice factoring in B2B segment. So invoice factoring, it's this business model exists since Middle Ages. Usually these are big banks which factor invoices from big companies like, I don't know, Bosch against Siemens, while we try to focus on the long tail and we try to do better than the traditional banks. And also since 2 years, we offer payment solution for e-commerce in B2B segments for pay after delivery, similar to Klarna, but in B2B segment. So that's what we do as a company. And we're a happy customer of Fivetran, as you may already know, of course. And using Fivetran, I personally in this company lead data and CRM teams. So we're building the data platform. On top of the data platform, there is a data science team which uses it, data analysts, product owners, top management, all these people. And the CRM team is responsible for CRM, for communication with customers, for customer support, for marketing initiatives. Yeah, that's more or less it about Billy and myself.
Perfect. Well, thanks. We obviously have a very esteemed panel here today, so it really is an honor to chat to the two of you. As Alexa had said, this session is all about building a 360-degree view of the customer. So really what we want to do is understand how companies are using the modern data stack to power your customer success, increase revenue with your existing customers and increase customer retention. I suppose just overall happiness of your customers. So I think a good place to start is, what does having a 360 view to you mean? If you could define a 360-degree view, what would you call it? Igor, I think if we start with you.
Yes. So I can tell you what is not 360 from my perspective, and then by eliminating it, we can define what it actually is.
Yeah.
So what it's not, it's a situation of silos when you have, I don't know, Excel files with some information about customers, and then you have some CSVs, and then you have some data in CRM, in let's say Salesforce, usually a CRM, and then you have some data in old data warehouse, and some data in new data warehouse, and some data lake. So this is not 360. When in order to answer a simple question or to test some hypothesis, internal stakeholders, they have to go to various places and try to stitch all that data together. So this is not 360. So from my perspective, 360, it's when you have all the data which is required in order to keep business running and maybe also to grow in business, when you have it all in one place somehow available to your internal stakeholders. Yeah.
Perfect. And Baha, would you have the similar opinion?
Yeah, of course. I mean, very common sense. Absolutely. I think what we see the 360 view is also about the customer journey from the start of engagement with us, from the sales funnel until they integrated and working with us and using the product. And then I see a lot of different touch points similar to what Igor said, like you have to bring it all together, where you look at your CRM data, you have to look at your product performance, product analytics, you have to look at your NPS scores, NPS surveys, you have to look at your product support, look at financials against certain contractual values, and that all consolidates to a 360 view in our case as well. Again, B2B business, so we all working with other businesses to create that.
Great. Well, that actually leads me quite nicely into what my next question was going to be. Igor, you had said at the start, you'll say what is not a 360-degree view. Before you had this 360-degree view that you have now, how did you measure your customer's experience? Was it fragmented, or were you able to get any sort of a view? How did you measure this experience?
So before that, we had this proper solution in place, and of course, it took us a while to build it. You know, like Rome was not built in one day, they say. So we're a startup. We are growth oriented. We have to show growth to investor. We have to show growth to our partner. So that's why the main metric was the numbers in terms of revenues, in terms of active customers, and the internal growth of customer base, right? But the problem was that apparently we were focused on the low hanging fruits. So because we were it was important for us to increase the absolute numbers without really investigating, okay, maybe we onboarded 10 customers, but maybe we lost 90 on the way. So before that we built this model, we were more focused on the absolute numbers without analyzing those that were lost on the way, more or less. Does it make sense? Or
yeah, that makes perfect sense. And again, Baha, would this be something similar that you would experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have, I wouldn't say we have built the perfect view. It's a journey always, and you're always evolving. In our case, when I first joined back in the day, it was very siloed again, similar to Igor's story, where product data or the product performance was maybe the key thing we looked at from a customer's point of view, but we were missing a lot of the sales cycle side of it. We were missing a lot of what happens post sales, what is the experience they're getting from our touch points, product support or our customer success management. Those things were missing, and we are increasingly getting better at that. And obviously, when you look at just a single thing as a tunnel vision, then you miss out all of the opportunities you can actually improve your experience and obviously bottom line.
Yeah, so it sounds like the two of you really, you had all of the data, it just wasn't all together. You were obviously very customer centric, but just having a modern data stack enabled you to get that full rounded view with a lot more ease. So it's great that you are seeing these, seeing this ease, I suppose, of use. And when you say then that well, I suppose since you've built out a more robust view of your customers' experience, is there any new pieces of data or new pieces of information that you are able to measure, or any new metrics that you're analyzing now that you have a better, I suppose, a more robust model? Oh, sorry. We will go with Baha for that one.
Of course. I mean, again, over the years, we've seen many different opportunities unlocked. For instance, the one story we have an API product, obviously, and integration to it during the trial, during the actual sort of sales process is something you have to measure, and we totally lacked that. We didn't see like the Salesforce side of it versus our product side of it. And when you bring that together, this is like 18 months, maybe 2 years ago, we've seen the massive gap of the minute we sell until we start actually accruing the revenue was way more different than we anticipated, at least. And you would think that's a common sense to measure, but we didn't have that measure at all because, again, these two data points were missing. And that's one thing. And since then, we've advanced a lot of our sort of how we look at our customer view and how we actually analyze our customer data. And currently, for instance, for us, the two main things are really key. One is how we can actually look into customer health, so we can actually understand whether they're going to churn, or equally looking at the customer health and see whether we have upsell opportunities or cross-sell opportunities. And those things are really, they don't really look at just a single data point or even multiple. It's a universe of data you have to look at and interpret to be able to make those decisions. And they directly translate into revenue and directly translate into higher sort of NPS scores if you can get it right.
Yeah, well, obviously for me as a customer success manager, this is ticking all the boxes. This is the same sort of data insights that I'm looking for when I look at my customers. And you did sort of touch on it there, but just to go kind of one level deeper, what has been the impact, I suppose, both for the company and also then has there been an impact on the customer? So you mentioned there it has an impact on revenue. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, the one good example is, again, same onboarding cycle. Like the fact that you booked a sale doesn't really make any difference for the company that year unless you start actually integrating and as quickly as possible start accruing revenue, and being able to measure that, understand the drivers of why it's taking slower, or being able to match that to a forecast or a budget is quite powerful, because then you can set your own financials around that. You can actually put the right levers to improve that onboarding cycle. That's a simple one. Similar in the churn side, you can look at lots of the indicators about product performance, which is quite key for us, like the amount of fraud we can catch, let's say. You can look at the NPS scores, you can look at the product support tickets. And if you bring all that together, you can easily see there's a red sort of customer area or there's a green area, and you can take actions really quickly. And that directly, obviously, if you can retain the customer or if you can upsell, that directly increase the revenue.
Yeah, and I can only imagine then that this will result in a happier customer. When you have these sort of insights, you can intervene early, or you can, have a conversation with them, which then will just create a happy customer.
Yeah, exactly.
And Igor, to go back then, the same question to you, is there anything new that you've been able to analyze since you have this better view, or any new metrics that you've been measuring?
Yes, so we both, I mean, me and Ba, we represent here a B2B segment, and the thing in B2B segment that the market, it's relatively limited, right? We're not talking about social network like Facebook, which has billions of users, right? And so let's say we are operating in German market, and our market niche is SMEs. So we are talking maybe about 200,000 potential customers at all in general. That's it. Which means that every customer which is lost during the onboarding is lost. It really decreases our chance to be successful as the company. So that's why the happiness of every single customer, it is crucial for us, right? And that is why it is important for us to try to squeeze as much successful onboardings as possible, because also I have to say a couple of words about onboarding. Again, in B2B segment, it's not just registration and confirm your email address. No, you have to sometimes sign some documents, you have sometimes provide some additional information, right? So this onboarding funnel, it's relatively complicated, and you really have to try to help your customer to go through it somehow, to to put them through. And now back to your question. So you using this more advanced analytics, we hopefully succeeded to understand exactly what were the points of leakage, why in every onboarding stage actually customers were abandoning this onboarding this customer journey, this onboarding journey. And for every that leakage point, we try to close it, to stuck it with something, yeah, as a result, our customer acquisition costs significantly reduced, right? Because it's easy just to throw money into marketing, and let's admit, marketing is quite expensive nowadays. So yeah, these marketing campaigns budgets can be huge. Yeah. So long story short, now we succeed to onboard more customers, like in percentage, and it costs us less money than before.
I think that's so interesting. I think it seems like everybody can learn something about the way you guys are doing your customer acquisition, because that's it's a good mindset to have. And I also think it's great that you can see the direct impact on the business as a result of having that more rounded view. It's pretty black and white, really. And then just in terms, we only have a 5 more minutes, because I want to open the floor to some customer questions as well. But in terms of what is next, is there anything that you have on your list that you want to learn more about your customers, or anything else, any other metrics that you want to pull in? Baha, we can start with you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have, as the product evolves, as our platform evolves, we have always more data points that we can gather, and that's an ongoing process. We are looking much more, for instance, we have an SDK that our customers can integrate to their mobile or web experience. And for us, for instance, to understand our customers' users' experience is quite cool, important as well, and related back to our, again, the product lifecycle, etc. That's something in the working for us. But the more, I think, strategic thing we are working through, which is a bit more tricky, is creating like a single customer health score that our sales and customer success teams can act on. And that's and again, like following that, also operationalizing that to point that you can actually alert and proactively understand like the churn or the predictive models around that. That's a tricky area because like in our business we have, let's say, top 20, 30 customers who drive a lot of our revenue, but then you have a long tail of customers. How you can create customer health score methodology that can cover all of them in a sort of fair manner is a challenge. And also like the multitude of data that you create that score so it becomes actionable is quite challenging. So those are the things that we're currently working through. We are maybe halfway for us, but they are going to be very much game changers for us because again, you may know from your experience, CSM teams generally, customer success teams generally need to have a lot of data to be able to act on, and they need to also do that really in a digestible manner. And getting that to a single customer score, I think, is quite key.
Yeah, I actually was just thinking about that just before we did this. The amount of data, I don't even realize it anymore, but the amount of data I actually use when looking into customers. There's so many different, touch points that we have. And yeah, we have a customer health score as well that we use. So yeah, I can certainly understand the complexity of it all. Igor, I might change the question for you unless, is there anything that you wanted to add there?
I just want to add that it's amazing how similar our challenges are in this B2B segment, because that's more or less exactly what I wanted to answer to this question, because exactly what we're trying to do, since let's say the amount of account managers is limited, of course, in our company. And the question is, how do you identify these big whales which just describe these 30, 40 key customers as soon as possible, because you want to treat them as good as possible. You want to treat them as VIP, right? So the idea is the same, to identify automatically already at the early stage these very important customers, and to alert the account managers, call this guy, like do it now, talk to him, like that's yeah, very similar.
Yeah, and I can only say the same from my point of view as well. So we're definitely all on the same page here. I want to ask, there's a couple of questions have come in, so I'll jump to them and then I'll go back to my own questions if you have time at the end. But a question from a customer here is siloed data the biggest blocker to creating a 360-degree view? Do either of you have a preference if you would like to take this?
I can take that one, and the answer is very short, yes.
There you go. Anything to add, Baha?
I think, yeah, I mean, obviously, I would only maybe say one more thing. Having the data in one place is obviously like you have to have it, and you have to sort that out first. But you have to also know where to look at, because sometimes too much data is also a problem. So maybe a bit more discerning around, but just because you brought it to one place doesn't mean that you solved the problem.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's one thing getting all the data there, but you want to actually be using it as well. And that's what we always say. You want to be getting the value from the data. Yeah, I agree. And then the next question, what are the most important metrics companies should focus on the post-sales side? Anybody, any takers?
I've been going first for the first, so I'll look at Igor again, maybe.
Okay, so I'm not an expert in this field, but I would say everything which is related to churn metrics. So because, as I already mentioned, acquiring customer costs a lot of money, and once you have already customer who is fully onboarded, it's really pity to lose that kind of customer. So you have to do everything you can in order to gain as much retention as possible. So churn and retention.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think churn, retention, and if you are able to generate more like upsell, cross-sell, those are really key metrics. And then you have drivers you may want to look at, which is maybe your NPS, your product support experience, like multitude. But I guess it depends on the business model you have. But eventually, it's all about churn and retention.
I have to say, I do agree with that as well. Yeah, obviously, churn is just what you want to avoid at all costs. So, yeah, it's a very, very important piece of the puzzle. Another question that I have is, what would be your favorite customer metric to track and why? Do you have a favorite metric? Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting. Baha, would you like to
Okay. I mean, I would say, I mean, this is it's a bit of a lagging metric, if I'm honest, but NPS is something we look at. It's quite insightful, especially for, like, I'm not interacting with customers directly, but personally, and I can see the impact of it. And if you can get a insightful NPS system and actually track that score over time and actually gather some of the qualitative data behind it as well, that's quite powerful. It can be quite useful for building the next product roadmap. It can be quite useful to quickly get the sort of passives or the negative people onto the positive side. So I find that really insightful when I look at it personally.
Great. And Igor, do you have anything similar or different?
Again, I couldn't agree more with Bob, because the thing is that you develop your product for your customer, not for your investors, not for your managing director. But if customers really love it, if they are ambassadors of your brand, eventually you'll be successful. So yeah, that's definitely eNPS for me as well. I'm very glad to see when customers are happy, and I'm open to hear criticism if they're not. Yeah. Because again, also when you build your product, you build it according to your picture of the universe, right? But customers might have completely different perspectives. So you might build a perfect product for you, but customer might be still unhappy, and yeah.
Perfect. We have, oh no. Thanks, Alexa.
Yeah, thank you guys so much, Igor and Bahadir, for joining us today on this panel, and Maeve, thank you for hosting. I really love how you guys highlighted NPS score as being a very important metric on the customer success side of things.